Welcome to the Roundtable. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is Mike Hill. Yes, Mike Hill. I always want to say something funny, and I just can't think of what I want to say today.
Nope,
and
perfect.
then
That's funny enough. That's right there.
and then in between us is Darrell Dorsett.
Yay! the one and only Darrell Dorsett. Darrell, how long have we known each other?
Since 2013, we met at the St. Augustine Beach. Yeah,
The Nazarene hangout.
pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
It was like the Nazarene Church exoduses on spring break and goes to St. Augustine, Florida.
Pretty much.
Is
yeah.
that about true?
Yeah.
Does it still happen? Is that still the?
We still go to St. Augustine.
You still go every year.
There's a few that still go. There's not as many though.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we love going there.
I never thought about this. What was your first impression?
Of you?
I always wonder this. Yeah, like when you met me, were you like, oh, Judas?
Well,
Weird.
I saw you sitting over, laying out on the beach.
Laying out?
Not laying out on the
I was
beach.
going to say,
But
wait
you
a
were
second.
you were laying out by the pool at the warm pool.
Did I look like a beached whale?
Yes, that's what you look like a beach whale. And I was like, this is a pastor, okay. And I was just seeing if you were interacting with anybody, and it didn't look like you really interacted with anybody. You were just kind of like beached out there.
Okay.
And yeah, so then
So a bad first impression.
I don't know. I mean, I just was like, okay, you were just laying over there. And then we met later on the beach, and we were just talking. I was kind of in between. The family was in between deciding on if we want to go to another church, and we just happened to talk to you, and we're like, all
Hey,
right,
we'll go to the Beach Whales Church.
yeah, well, let's check it out.
Why were you in between? I never asked you that. You don't have to share.
No,
but I mean, I didn't know if there was a.
We had a change in pastor, and when we did, it was kind of like we held out for a year, and we just felt like there was nothing but surface. It was all surface.
Okay.
It wasn't deep for us. So we just like this isn't it. We need to find somewhere that we're getting our toes stepped on. So and
You found that at Life Church?
yeah.
Good.
Found it here. So.
All right, so tell us about you a little bit. So, TV watcher, book reader, podcast listener, like what's the thing that intrigues you the most? Do you like, or do you watch TV?
Not a lot. I
Okay.
mean, I used to love watching TV, but now I don't.
If you were going to watch TV, what are you going to watch?
Good question.
Other than Notre Dame football.
The football in general is pretty much the most.
And you
what I
are a
watch.
Notre Dame fan.
Yes, Notre Dame, Colts.
Colts.
I'll watch the Bears, but like they're not the '85 Bears anymore. So, like
Okay, like the Colts are any better? I mean, have you been watching them?
I think we have a better record, don't we?
Oh, well, they play in a worse division. That you always got to say that, right?
Sure.
Okay, so other than watching sports, nothing else?
Not much. I don't have like a TV show that I watch.
What about books? Do you read?
I did. Ted Decker, Frank Peretti.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys talked about that earlier on another podcast, and yeah, I've probably read 26 books of or not Frank Peretti, but Ted Decker.
Oh, really?
Loved his books. I read a book with Frank Peretti and Ted Decker combo. Trying to remember what.
So you read them or listen to them?
I read them.
Thank you.
And there's
That's a lot of books. I wanted to know that too, because I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a lot to read.
Yeah,
So I'm impressed.
and I was reading David T. Bunn's books too.
Who's that?
He's just a
David T. Buns.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Like, is he a Christian writer? Is he?
I don't think he is, but it's more of a courtroom government kind of books or whatever. So yeah, read a few of his, like him.
Okay.
I was trying to read. Delaney said, "Hey, read the Silent Patient?" Yeah, Silent Patient. But I started reading it, and I haven't picked it up.
What's it
in 2
about?
weeks. About a lady that her husband dies, and they believe that she's the one that murdered her husband, and there, basically. She doesn't say anything. She goes to prison. And
She does murder him?
It looks like it.
Okay.
I mean, she's been convicted and everything, but she doesn't say a thing through the whole trial or anything like that. So that's where it ends for me. I don't know what happens.
That's as far as you got?
Yes. And she says there's a big twist at the end. So she looks very guilty. So, of course, I'm thinking there's something where she's not guilty. I don't know, but we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't finished it. I haven't picked it up since.
So something you're passionate about right now?
Well, I was telling you guys earlier, I was passionate about pickleball.
You're still passionate about
I
it?
am. I don't mind losing, but
Is that really
as long as
true?
I'm getting better.
Is that really true?
If I'm learning and getting better, I can accept losing.
Darrell.
So, yes.
Darrell.
I can accept
Speaking
losing.
from the guy, now this is a guy, so anybody that knows Darrell, super competitive, hardworking. Well, I mean, a great guy. Obviously, everybody that knows Darrell knows that, but super competitive, Spartan races, right? So Darrell decides to do Spartan races, and I don't remember what your goal was to beat somebody. Was it to beat Mitchell? Was it to beat Isaac? Was it to beat
Isaac?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Isaac's 20-some years old. I don't even know how old you are.
I'm 50 this year.
So anyway, so he's training his butt off, goes to this race, and essentially gets ambulanced off the place from almost dying.
You do?
I didn't get ambulanced off.
You didn't. I just
finished.
added that for drama.
Okay.
Well, don't go lying.
I wasn't lying. I'm saying I was going to get into the story like you were seriously had COVID beforehand.
Oh, wow.
Or something.
Yeah.
Decides to still do the race. Still would have beat Isaac probably if he wouldn't have had COVID, but then was out of commission for like 2 days afterwards, 3 days afterwards, lost all this weight. Is that something that's accurate, right?
Well, so it was close. I mean, I lost to Isaac by 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I've improved from the last time I raced him, and he had beaten me.
So you raced today, you're beating Isaac.
No, because I haven't been training at all. So matter of fact, I just checked my weight out there, and I was like, dang it, I've gained 10 pounds since July. So, I mean, I can't, no.
Yeah, so you do have a competitive winning side to you.
Yeah, of course. I like to. I mean, if I'm going to play something, I'm playing to win.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So when you're like, I don't mind losing.
Well, so I guess I'll preface this as if I lose knowing that I put everything into what I did, and I'm like, it wasn't my game today. I just didn't win.
Okay.
They were better.
And so pickleball, getting beat by a 70-year-old is just, they're better than you.
They are better than me, which drives me nuts.
Do you see yourself like getting over the hump and beating the 70-year-olds at some point?
When I get to 70 and they're 90 or 100.
Well, I have to say this too. So this is also for a little bit about Darrell, if you guys don't know this. So I've been signed up for, I think, 2 Spartan races, maybe 3. I haven't done one of them. But anyway, so the whole like getting ready. This is Darrell the Encourager. Darrell shows up on our road because I'm talking about like, I hate to run. I hate the whole process. And so this is like Darrell's mentoring side. You know, if people know him, he was a football coach, the head wrestling coach at Huntington North, like just a big, like pouring into other people. So he would mark out poles and spray paint them on our road and send me a text. Be like, so you run to this one this day, you run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, run to this one the next day.
that.
Huh?
I don't know if we even did it, though.
Hey, I did it for a while. Obviously.
You got afraid of a dog, didn't you?
Huh?
You were afraid of a dog, and you didn't do it again.
Not afraid of a dog.
Yeah.
The German Shepherd that looked like an Alaskan Malamute wolf comes out on the road and chases me down the road. So I couldn't go past those orange marks. No.
Yeah. Well,
You could have went the other way. You could
He
have
only
like
had it marked out
Well-
one way. Only marked one way.
when you told me that there was a dog over there, I was like, I'm gonna run. That's the first time I decided I'm gonna run down your road, and yeah, that dog came out, but
Did he come out on the road?
he came out to the road, but he didn't get on the road.
it's probably a little
and-
poodle, wasn't
And
it?
then
Okay.
it was a pretty good sized dog.
was a wolf.
But I'm like,
It was a wolf.
suck it up, Buttercup. I don't. What do you? It's
See?
a dog. It's
See,
just
this
a
is
dog.
what I'm saying. The real Darrell's coming out. Oh, I don't mind losing. I graciously get my butt whooped by 70-year-olds. Deep down, you're like, this is awful. Awful.
It is awful, but you get better at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about your family. The people that don't know.
3 girls, 17, 21, 22 years old. Peyton, my 22-year-old's in Bloomington. She's studying to be a paramedic, and she's an EMT right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Has she called you with any like stories? Like I showed up on something and the guy's face was all messed up, or
Well, there is a certain coach that used to coach at IU that she went to his house, but I think I can't say much more than that.
was he dead?
Nope. He's a pretty popular coach from IU.
Really?
Just, yeah. Yeah.
How can you do that? I mean,
Hey, maybe off the air. We
oh,
can hear
okay.
about it.
Like it's a privacy
I
thing.
don't know.
Like
Maybe it's a
people are
HIPAA
not-
thing. I don't know what the rule is on that.
You don't
so-
want to get her in trouble.
No.
Okay.
But
Well, I
yeah,
got to make sure
she's-
I don't forget that. Are you allowed to tell me?
Yeah, I'd probably tell you afterwards.
Okay, got it. So she hasn't any other stories of like showed up on, and that does obviously doesn't bother her.
No, apparently not. She's pretty mellow about it. So, no, she's got some stories. You probably have to ask her about it. But
Yeah. Well, I just know she'd be like, "Hey, Dad, guess what? Like, my daughter calls and tells me what happened in the school. Your daughter calls and said, I just had to resuscitate a dead guy.
yeah,
You know, just we all get those phone calls, right?
yeah.
What? You, right?
Yeah, I get to hear about cows.
Yeah, that's right. Emma comes home and tells you the frustration with stupid cows, right?
I see all the cute pictures of the cows on the farm. And this cow did this. And
Yeah,
anyways,
give it a name. Been
not quite
married
the
for how
same.
long?
Let's see, 28 years.
High school sweethearts.
Been together for 33. Yep.
You went to Huntington?
Yep.
You guys both grew up around here.
Yes.
How'd you meet? Just in school?
By my locker. She was freshman year. She was sharing a locker with a girl next to me. I tried talking to her. She snobbed me off. She snobbed me off for a whole year. pretty
Wow.
much.
Were you just not the popular? Was she into the popular guys and
I
you
think
weren't
she
one
might
of
have been
them?
interested in older guys. Like maybe she was like, I need somebody bigger than a freshman.
So you were just the leftovers?
Probably pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Try-
When it took her a year to figure out this is it.
Yeah, that's what I always said about Sherry. Like, Sherry dated my brother, you know, and these other guys, I'm like, I guess I'm what's left, you know? So none of these guys worked out. Like, how weird is that to think that your wife kissed your brother?
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry to
Weird.
hear that.
Well, you know what? He must not have been very good because she moved on.
Yes, that's what I could say. Hey, I must have been better.
That's right.
So tell me about something in the world that is either like making you mad, bothering you, or something that's getting you really excited. A world event, current events.
You know, there's Sleepy Joe. There's, I mean, that I've got opinions on him.
Well, give us one.
I really don't think he's running.
You cannot be against Sleepy Joe. You are a United Auto Worker. You are in Joe Biden's camp.
No, I'm not in his camp at all. I am definitely not in his camp.
Well, give me. I mean, again, other than he's a dork. So give me something that's like something that he's done, an opinion that he has, a policy that he does. It just is like, this is stupid.
Well, I mean, I just don't feel like he is actually running the country. I mean, when I hear him talk, and,
Okay.
and when I see him read his teleprompter, and he can't seem to even finish the sentences, and his mind just goes off. I'm like, I don't feel very secure in this country when I find our leader, and he can't seem to even finish a sentence.
Okay.
So that there's plenty of times where it just drives me nuts to see that.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Passionate about
Well, can I get, you can say we don't have to go here, but I want an insider scoop on being United Auto Worker in the past 2 months. Are you super proud to be one?
you know, it's a job. I mean, I
No,
don't.
I know.
I don't
Again,
consider-
I'm not like against. I'm not.
Yes,
Okay.
you are.
No, let me rephrase that.
What? That's fine.
Conceptually,
Uh-huh.
I think the union was formed for the right reasons. And I think that the union in the beginning did a great job of protecting. I'm just not exactly sure that that's where it is today, even though that I feel like that's what he says. But you're a worker and you're being protected. You're a part of that. So I'm on the outside looking in. So does it feel good as somebody that's a part of something that somebody is fighting for you?
No, I would like to fight for my own self. I would prefer.
Okay.
I'd prefer negotiating for my own self.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
I am not. I'm probably not your typical UAW Democrat worker.
Okay.
To me, when I hired in, I got the biggest thing that I noticed getting hired in as a UAW worker is the good workers get a bunch of work added to them. The bad workers get taken care of.
Oh, got it.
Like they'll protect them. These people will they'll come to work drunk. They'll have so many. They'll miss work. They're not the guys that you can rely on.
Got it.
So they just put the work on the people that are reliable.
Right.
And they just protect the ones that are just should be fired. Personally, I mean. So
It's just a hot topic. Well, it is, again, I just feel like every time you look out there, somebody's talking about, because the new thing is labor getting organized, right? Tesla and Toyota, and see the big thing we won. So now we're going to try to organize. I just think it's a fascinating concept of the whole, how it works and what's that going to do to American made vehicles and how much they're going to cost. I love the whole just like trickle down economics on what it's going to look like and what is fair and how does that work? And
I think there's so many people that feel entitled, and they would fit right in as a UAW worker. They feel like they're entitled. Like if I was a business owner, the last thing I would want is my business to be unionized.
Yeah.
Small business or big business. But I could see why you would unionize with a big corporation or big company, because you have other management that do things that cause you to say, wait a minute, that's not right.
sure.
And if you don't have anybody to back you, so
Right.
that's the positive of being in a union is
Right.
you actually have somebody that's like, if a supervisor is doing something that, or asking you to do something that is not within your element of work and
Yeah. Or not safe.
yeah,
all
not
of
safe
that
or
stuff.
whatever like that, you're kind of like, if we're trying to protect quality, make a quality product, but then they're getting, the supervisors are saying, hey, we need to get this truck out the door, and we're
Right.
like, well, we're more concerned with this, and yeah, I know you might be, but we're looking at numbers too.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, no, again, I was just curious because I always ask you about it every Sunday. I mean, I just think it's funny because I'm like,
we are voting today, so
so it'll be done today. Sean Phelan,
Sean Fain.
Fain, whatever his name is going to be on all over the feeds tonight after the vote, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know we've got a 24-hour period, so we'll find out tomorrow how our we finish up. So it's 50-50 right now.
So tell me something you're passionate about other than pickleball in the world, like something going on in the world. You're like, man, that right there is awesome.
I gotta say, I'm not really feeling much passion for. There's not a whole lot.
No?
I've listened to your guys' podcast, and I feel like there's so many more interesting people that are than what I have to offer here. I don't even know why I'm here. But
well, let me just say this. I'll tell you why. Again, so from the standpoint of living legacy, so the way that you choose to invest into other people is changing the trajectory of people's lives. And the most important part about that is that's not the thing that you represent is what we believe is the majority of people. It's one little decision every day that's going to make a difference to come. And you do that. Like you get up and make little decisions and you're actually thoughtful about the intentionality of your life. Like we've had conversations going into coaching, What does it look like with coaching? How do we affect kids? How did you make, like, these are conversations that you're having all the time. How do I, the small group that you're leading, what do I do and should I do? And what does that look like? And how do we, so this is somebody I'm working with. And so what should we talk about? Little decisions, right? You get up every day and you go to work and make decisions every day that might not be put up on stage, but they're making a difference in somebody's life.
Okay. Well, no, so I listened. I was at service Sunday, and then Monday I listened to your service again, the service again, because I wasn't completely tracking with what you were saying.
Because the message was weird. The delivery was bad.
Most of the time I'm tracking with what you're saying, and I'm getting it. I'm everything. So I was like, man, I've got to listen to that again. And sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't.
Right.
And I listened to it again. I was like, well, I'm going to have to listen to it a third time.
Maybe get him the first service one, Nick. That makes more sense.
I'm gonna have the first thought I came in my head when you were talking about legacy and everything is I don't think about I don't think about leaving a legacy. I just I think about living for Christ, Him reflecting out of me, not about any kind of imprinting on anybody, on what I like leaving any kind of legacy that came from me. Like I don't care if my kids say, "Oh, I got that from my dad" or whatever like that. I would rather them be more like, that's what Christ would do. That's what Christ.
But that's still, you do care, because you still are making intentional decisions so that people can see Christ reflected in your life, which is going to make an impact, right? That is going to leave a legacy, right? You are saying, I'm going to be a football coach, not because I need more to do.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So you know that the reason that you're making that decision is because it is going to have a lasting impact on these kids.
Right.
Right. So you're making a conscious decision so that you can leave a legacy. Leaving the legacy isn't so that I can get up and say I have a legacy. Right. It's a decision that gets imprinted in the lives of other people that is a legacy. You're just not doing it for the fame. Right. I mean, I feel like that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like you don't want somebody to be like, okay, now I can say this about Darrell and this about Darrell. You're just doing it because it's what God called you to do.
Yeah. Well, were you going to say something?
Well, I was, because I just remember when Heather's mom was passing away. And I remember seeing all the posts that Heather put on Facebook, and was just talking about how supportive you were and the things that you were showing your girls through the way that you were loving her through all of that, And so right there is leaving a legacy. You're showing your girls, and Heather always talks about this, what kind of husband and father you are, so the girls know what kind of husband that they should have. You raise the bar up for them to say, this is what it's supposed to look like. So when they're trying to find somebody, they have a good example to look for. So, so right there is a huge legacy. It's not even, you're not even thinking you're doing it, but you're doing it every day. Like he said, it may not even be a conscious thing, but you're leaving a huge impact on this world that people can see Jesus through you. So,
yeah, I don't think I consciously wake up thinking, how can I impact somebody today? It's more of waking up and saying, all right, God, what do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. And where do I need to be obedient? And what do I need to do to be obedient? And to me, if that's a legacy, okay. Mm-hmm. But I guess I have never viewed it that way. My mindset is not of thinking that in that manner. Mm-hmm. It's like, when I go to work or where everything, you're just constantly, if you're in a relationship with God, you're just constantly looking for opportunities, and you're constantly looking for moments where you can, wait for God to, or not necessarily wait for God, but look for those opportunities to speak about God or speak into somebody's life about God. And it's just reflecting God. It's not like I'm saying it. It's just letting God use me to reflect
Right.
himself.
But don't you think that's that's the whole Paul and Timothy, right? So Paul picks up Timothy to not just being on a missionary journey, to be a tent maker. So just to be obedient, show up in a village, make tents, work with people, and given the opportunity, share Christ. Right? Like, that's exactly what you're saying. But they made an intentional decision to be available. Right? That's essentially what you're saying you're doing is, I'm just intentionally, I'm going to go make cars. Or I think you're a forklift driver. I mean, you make cars, but what are you?
I'm a team leader now.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
a forklift driver.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just I'm a factory worker. Just call me a factory worker.
No, but either way, but in the midst of being a team leader,
Uh-huh.
you're looking for opportunities because you're available.
Yes.
Right. The same concept. The concept is Paul and Timothy, they show up in a village, they're making tents, and they're saying, God, give us a chance. And so they get a chance. And so the point is, because you're available for the right task, you will leave a legacy. Right? That's just the thing that I think is vitally important, because I don't know from the standpoint of, does everybody wake up every day with a strategic plan? Now, I'm not saying that everybody has a strategic plan. I'm just saying that we should be available for the opportunity to leave a legacy, because we should want something that's going to last forever. Because the reason you're asking yourself to be available is because if you give somebody Christ and you disciple something, that's something that's going to last forever, for eternity, right? That's the idea of the legacy that we want to live or leave.
Okay. I never even ever think of, hey, wonder what people are going to say when I die. Quite frankly, I don't care.
Don't you really?
I have.
Why?
I
Why don't you care?
I guess I don't care because this time on earth is just short period of time.
Right.
And the people that I'm going to be able to see later on is for eternity is a lot longer, and it's a heaven. It's in heaven, and I'm this period of time right now is, I really don't care what you're going to say about me now, because I'll see you later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's basically, to me, that's what it is. I'll see you later. It's not.
Well, so from the standpoint of what are they going to say when you die, the idea would be is that they're going to get up and say, because of what Darrell did, I will see him again someday. You would care about that. You would care that somebody got up and they said, you know what, because Darrell chose to be available, he was my football coach, he showed Christ to me. When he showed Christ to me, and because of his availability, I will see him again someday. You do care about that, or you wouldn't be a football coach.
Yeah, I'll be dead, so do I really care?
Your family does.
Okay. So on my 50th birthday, Heather, or Ashley put together a clip. You guys, you were on, and listening to everybody, and that was kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool gift. So anybody thinking about doing a gift for 50th birthday, having that was really cool.
Right.
And it was cool to see what people were saying about thinking about how I interacted with them or something like that.
Right.
So I guess to your point, yes, that's nice to hear that right now or whatever.
Yeah, because it motivates you to continue to be on task.
I don't know if it motivates me.
No?
No. I mean, I guess this is just not where my head's at. Like, I want to do something so that they're going to, I'm not going to do something. I want to do something so that they're going to think that
You're not doing it for personal glory.
That's
what you keep coming back
that's
to.
what it
You keep
feels
coming
like.
back to this.
That's what it feels
I think you're
like.
missing the point of
Okay.
saying, like, what we're saying is so that we can be celebrated, right? Like, you don't want to be celebrated.
Not at all.
Does anybody want to be celebrated? Like, I don't want to be celebrated either, but I want to know that the decisions that I'm making on this earth are having an effect for eternity. Like, I want to know that. Like, I want to know that because I made this decision, and because I made this decision, I want to know not for my glory, but so that I can be effective. I want to know that my short time on this earth is going to do everything possible for eternity, not so that I can get the glory, but so those lives can be changed.
Okay.
And I think that the encouragement, and you know this, right? Anybody in life needs to be encouraged in the things that we're doing to fight the good fight.
Okay.
You don't think so? Like you
Well,
don't need to be encouraged? Like, good job, Darrell. You're doing a great job. I know you say you don't need it for the glory, but what about from the, like, I'm on the right track?
I think when I'm having my time with God in the morning, when I'm doing my devotionals, and since I'm in relationship with Christ, that's if I'm being led in a good direction, I feel like I'm being obedient. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I guess I have that sense that God's already. That's who I'm.
Yeah, for sure. Audience of one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then when it comes to anybody else, I guess I don't need it. Maybe that's not my love language or whatever. I don't know.
You don't need any words of affirmation?
No. I think that whole 5 love language thing, I know this is going off topic, but that whole 5 love language shit, I'm not agreeing with it.
No, you're not agreeing with it?
No, I don't.
Huh?
This is the reason why. Is because my those love languages are different for different people.
Right.
Like if for me, if my wife, I want her affection, I want the physical touch or whatever like that.
Yep.
And I prefer all the love languages from her. But when it comes to most other people, I really don't care.
Well, I know that's the point.
I mean, if my love language is if that in the book it talks about like you have one dominant love language,
Top
and then,
2 usually,
or whatever.
right,
I was
too.
like, I don't know if I agree. I mean, it's different for every people. I mean, for you, it might be time or I don't know. I don't even know what all 5 of them are, but
physical touch,
right.
words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, and
Time, right?
quality time.
Quality time.
Quality time.
So
None of those are your love language. So you don't. There's nothing that somebody can do for you to make you feel loved.
It's the person that it depends on the person. So that's what I'm saying. My wife is where I get most of my love language stuff from,
Right.
And who I give to.
That's because she can have sex with you. Nobody else can. I mean, that's the love language thing that you're not going to get from anybody else.
You know, her encouragement, like when she posts this stuff on the Facebook and saying stuff. That's I accept that too. I like that too.
Right, but again, your wife's words are going to hold more value than anybody's, right?
Yes.
But it does. You're saying nobody else's words of encouragement makes you feel loved. It's different from your wife. They're always going to hear, like, you're going to hear from them differently because of the connection. But you're saying that if somebody came to you and encouraged you with words, it'd be like, I don't really care.
There's not very many. There's not. I'm sorry. There's just. Not,
There's have to be sorry.
No,
I'm just like, you're a unique person. Because you're right. Most people don't. It's not the same when it comes from everybody. Right? Like if yours is words of affirmation, it's like preaching, right? There are going to be people that are going to come up and say you did a good job every week, right? And there's going to be other people that are going to say you suck every week. But there's only a few people that matter, right? Like there's the Lord, obviously did what he said. And then there are a few people that'll just be honest with you, on what is good. So certain words make a difference, and can be encouraging or can be corrective either way. But it's only going to come from a certain group of people.
Yeah. I mean, the 20-60-20 thing where there's 20% will always love you, 20% will always hate you, and the 60% in between.
Okay. That's the way it is. 20-60-20.
Yeah.
Okay.
You haven't heard that one?
I have not heard that one before.
Yeah. You're probably, you being a pastor, you're probably at 20% you could say no wrong, and you could say anything up there, and that 20% will say, you're the man. And then you can have a great sermon, and there's 20% people are like, he sucks, and the 60% in between
don't even care. They just show up to check it off.
No, those are the ones that you win over. Those are the ones you have to win over.
Okay, so they're the ones in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So before we get into significant times in your life, just real quick, if you could take a time machine forward or back, would you?
If I had to choose, I'd go forward.
Where would you go? And what do you want to see?
I just see the future, see what's up in the future.
Like anything
I like to be
particular?
prepared. So, like, I don't care what happened in the past. Like, the future is the future. So I'd rather be prepared for the future.
Yeah.
So,
Like you would like to go ahead and see what happens and then come back and try to live with the idea of what's coming.
yeah.
Ooh. Could you do that? Could you go forward? Let's just say you went forward and you found out like
How I'm going to die or something.
Eric dies in a year from now, 2 years from now, or something happens tragic and then you have to come back and live. Would that be like, you'd be okay with that?
I honestly process that a lot.
Do you really?
I do.
Ooh.
I hate saying that, but after Sherry
You process Eric dying?
after Sherry passed away, death seems more real.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is something that's like time is short,
No.
you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's what I always said about when going through that stuff with Sherry. It had been an ongoing process for me because it had been like 1 year it's a brain tumor and 1 year it's kidney cancer and 1 year it's, so you're always going through this like, is this going to be it? So you go through these years of like,
yeah. So
yeah, processing that stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so Darrell, talk to us about being a pastor's kid,
Oh,
right? So you
I
grow
know
up.
you're going to bring that up.
No. I mean, so you grow up. I guess you can talk
Yeah.
whatever you want about
No,
it.
that's
You
fine.
grow up
Yeah.
in a church, right? Like you grow
Yeah.
up with your dad being a pastor. So talk about your faith journey as a kid. Talk about your faith journey growing up to where you are today.
Okay. Well, yeah, brought up in the church. Always believed in God and always have, I was always learning and everything. But I would say up until middle school is when I really owned it as my own faith. You know, before it was as a pastor's kid, everybody just assumed that you were a Christian, you were a believer, and such as that. So, and then you'd always say, "Hey, I'm a pastor's kid." So that was your kind of a little bit of an identity part of it, or whatever. But then when you get into middle school, you know, that's when, just as I got into middle school, I got arrested. And when I did that, yeah.
For what?
That wasn't in the bio.
No.
There was no bio of Darrell getting arrested.
He didn't
Yeah.
put a whole lot down.
Yeah, so I got arrested, and that was the point in time where God was almost. I've distinctly remember Him saying, you know, you're going down this road, or you're going down this road. This way is me. This way is not me. And I was like, I'm going with you. So that's where it changed.
This
for
was
me.
in high school?
No, middle school.
Oh, you got arrested in middle school.
You drinking?
Yes. No.
No.
Is this a story that I know?
Probably.
Or is it being unveiled on the RoundTable podcast?
this RoundTable that we have?
Okay, we're gonna have one soon.
Well, I don't know. I've talked about it to some people, but yeah, we lived at Parkview Apartments. We had a crew of people that hung out. It was subsidized government apartments, so there's a lot of us poor kids running around, and we had a group, and we would play in the woods behind the apartments on Thompson Road there, and we'd camp out there, and then we would sneak up to the high school, and we broke into the high school on a summer, about 17 times in the summer.
17 times.
Yes, but we only told the police. It was 3 times when we gave our police statement.
Good thing the statute of limitations has ended
Yes, I
on
feel free
that.
to say this now.
Yeah.
But yes, we did that, and
You just went in and ran around in there or what?
yes, we were into ninja stuff, and I could tell you how to get into the high school now, but I would hate for somebody
Yeah, somebody got
somebody to do
his
it.
police statement. Well, I listened to Darrell Dorsett. He
The
gave us the
RoundTable.
plan to
Yes.
burglarize the
Yes.
school system.
There was still a way. There's still a way to get in, and but we did it for the adventure. We climbed up. I won't even. We got into the high school, and then we found a master key to the building, and then we were walking in from there, and we'd camp out. We would run over in the middle of the night in the summertime, and we just kind of explored the high school.
And how'd you get caught?
My stupid brother. Stupid brother.
It's always the brother's
Which
fault.
one?
Dwayne.
It's always the brother's
Yeah, 'cause
fault.
I went to school with
Yeah.
Dwayne. He was
Oh,
in my
you did?
class. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dwayne and Brent Marshall.
yeah.
They wanted to go just the weekend before school started, and they wanted to get school supplies from the bookstore because they.
Hey, makes sense. Makes sense.
So they broke in. They got some stuff. They brought it back, and there was a guy that was a maintenance man that actually caught them and then turned us into the police.
Okay.
So we wound up, being on probation. And we turned ourselves in. My dad made me turn myself in.
Right. But
So-
now he's like, you're out of work, go down a different path.
Yeah.
So from that time on, you're just like,
Yeah, but it was still a process. It was still you're still growing. You're still making mistakes. You're still doing.
you've met
stupid
Heather
things.
at this point yet?
No.
Okay.
When we got into high school, Heather and I got. She snobbed me off the first year, and then we started dating just before our sophomore year.
Okay.
And why? I still feel like it was such a God thing that she came into my life, because we started dating, and I just was dating her because she was hot. I wasn't dating her because she was a
That's
Christian.
how we all start,
Yeah,
right?
because she wasn't a Christian or anything like that.
You got to be
didn't-
physically attracted first.
Yeah, she didn't even go to church or anything like that. So she started going to church with me, and then at our senior year, we were getting to the point where it's like, well, she's going to go to college. She's going to go to Manchester. Me, I didn't want to go to college, so one April day or whatever, I just decided to go into a jewelry store. I looked down and I saw the engagement ring. It was just like 10 seconds I was in there, and I was like, how much is that? And I already had a price in my head how much it was going to be, because I worked at Dairy Queen, and I can only afford 3 months for Dairy Queen. To me, looking back, I was like, this is a cheap way of getting a ring, because if I get older and I
Buy it
Yeah,
now.
so do you remember how much it costs?
Yeah, it was $1,059.
Yeah.
So
Does she still have that ring? Or do
she
you have?
still, yeah, and I tried. I was like, I want to get you more to it, or
Uh-huh.
and she's like, no, I want to keep it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so it stood out, and then I proposed to her on prom night.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
But she still went to college.
she went to college. Yeah.
Did you get married while she was in college?
She went for like 2.5 years, and then she said that's enough, and we just went and got married. So,
Okay. And at this time, you're working at GM? Or still Dairy Queen? You got married working at Dairy Queen? I'm just checking.
No,
Like,
when I got out of high school, I got a full-time job outside of Dairy Queen.
what did you do first?
I worked for Medalloyd for about 6 months, and then I went over and started working for Culligan. So I was a Culligan man for 3 years, and then I worked for Breyers making ice cream, and then I've been at GM for 23 years.
I was going to say, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So when you guys met, so you, in the process of how faith fit in, how did it fit in? Like, were you leading her?
No.
Did she was leading you, or you guys weren't leading each other? Like,
We weren't leading each other. We were basically it was basically just going to church on Sunday.
Okay.
And
you went here in Huntington?
yeah.
Where'd you
go? We were going to Loon Creek. That's
Oh,
where my
yeah.
dad preached.
Oh, really?
And-
I didn't
yeah.
know that. Okay.
And then when he left, we started going to not Indiana Wesleyan, but Etna Avenue Wesleyan.
Okay, got it.
And we were there.
But
for
you guys were
quite a
just
while.
attending. Like, you're just going because you're supposed to?
Yeah, and we weren't really. Other than that, yeah, pretty much. We're doing that. And then it got down to, I thought we had 5 years for engagement. We weren't going to get married right away. We were going to wait for her to graduate. Well, her dad had a little heart thing, and next thing you know, she's like, let's get married in July, which was, 8 months from the time he had his heart thing or whatever. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, okay. So they were putting it together. And at that time, as soon as she started saying, let's get married early, I started thinking about being unequally yoked. Like, whether she was a Christian, I knew I was a Christian, didn't think she hadn't professed to being a Christian or anything like that. So I was like, oh, shoot,
Like where you're getting cold feet?
No, I was trying to be obedient.
Oh.
I was trying to be obedient to what God's calling me. And I had this I was wrestling with God, and I was wrestling with him about being unequally yoked. Like, she's a good person and all that stuff. And she's been going to church, but, does that make her a Christian? No, it doesn't. Has she had any kind of profession of faith? Not that I know of. And we're close to 5 years of dating here. And so, I just decided that, we went to a Mark Lowry concert in December 2nd in 94. And we were there, and I don't know if you know Mark Lowry. He's a comedian, and he sings a little bit, but he's more of a comedian than anything. And, we go there, 2 months go on, and I'm wrestling for 2 months about whether to not get married because we're not equally yoked. It was such a burden on me. And finally, in late February, I said, okay, God, I'll give it up. I would rather be more obedient than get married outside of your will. So she comes out of the room, and I said, look, I don't think we're going to be able to get married. And I already decided there was only 2 reactions that were going to happen. She was either going to say, just tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it, or I hate you, and I don't and I don't want to have anything to do with God, and we're out of here. Because I was essentially trying to say, we can't get married right now, because...
That's kind of a bombshell.
Yeah.
Like, did you think through that?
I wrestled with it for two months, probably a strong 2 months of it, and I was like, I just really didn't think we were going to be able to get married.
Yeah.
And I felt, and I was fighting with God about it, saying, really, this is what we're. I want to be obedient, but I don't want to hurt her.
Right.
And I still care about her. I still love her, and I don't want to. And it was just a matter of, are you going to be obedient or not be obedient? So I was like, fine, I'll be obedient. And I finally got the guts up to say it, and I expected her to do one or the other. And she's like, okay, so, like, what do I need to do? And I thought, she picked plan A, and she picked plan A. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to explain to her that's not heartfelt. It's not real. You're just doing it. And in my mind, I was going to say, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good.
So you gave her like no way out.
I felt like there was no way out. And so she's like, okay, what do I have to do? And I said, well, I'm a Christian. I've already accepted Christ into my life, and you haven't. So you have to accept Christ in your life. And she's like, I already did. And I said, when did you do that? And I was at the Mark Lowry concert. At the end of the Mark Lowry concert, he gave an invitation for anybody to, if they want to accept Christ in their life. He said everybody's eyes were bowed, and head was bowed and eyes were closed. And he said, raise your hand if you want to accept Christ in your life. And she said, I did. And I said, why didn't you tell me? Why? You could have saved me 2 months of wrestling with God. And she's like, I just didn't know what to do next. So I was just trying to figure it out.
Wow.
So I was like, ching, I don't have to.
You don't have to have a bombshell go off right before your wedding.
No. So I was like, God knew ahead of time what he was just wanting me to be obedient.
Yeah. So talk about the development of your faith. Like, so did you guys just continue to grow, and has it kind of been up and to the right, and or what have been some moments or some things that have really helped you guys' faith grow, or maybe just your faith in general?
Oh, I just think it's as we've gotten older and everything like that, it's just it's been just a slow process of listening and trying to be obedient, and reading, getting into the Word. Sometimes you just can't get into the Word; you just don't feel motivated, and then there's times where you know, I think like anything, there's ups and downs when you're trying to do life with Christ, and fighting the selfishness of wanting to do your own thing.
Right. Yeah. So talk about, one of the things we talked about before, this seems like a common theme in your story, right? Always just trying to figure out, make it simple. If he says do it, just do it. Okay. So how did it fit in? So we talked about this small group that you lead, right? How did that come about? So was that a aha moment? Was that felt God saying, like, what got you to the point to leading the small group that you're leading?
Well, I'm going to say it pretty much evolved around Scott, my close friend Scott Campbell. He was wrestling with the death of his brother-in-law, Kevin Shitball, and you know, we got, when he passed away suddenly. He was about our same age as we were, and it was about 4.5 years ago. He was questioning God and where he go, what happened.
So everybody knows he's one of your friends.
Right.
Yeah, just so everybody knows who you're talking
Sure.
about, right?
Yeah, Scott, Kevin, they're both
these
friends.
these guys were all your friends.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And so he was questioning, and Scott and I had been friends for 30 years or somewhere around there. I don't know, can't do the math, but and I'd never pushed God on him. We've had conversations about God, but we were just good friends. And when he passed, he's like, "Can we get together and talk about what happened?" Because he's questioning where Kevin went, what happened to him. I said, okay. And that first day that we were going to meet, there was like every obstacle that could have happened was fallen.
To keep you guys from meeting.
Yeah, it happened pretty much. There was just so many things that were happening. And I even was talking to his wife, Kathy, and I was like, you know, I think we should meet. I feel like there's things that are like blocking us from meeting. I think there's a reason why there's things are blocking us from meeting. Let's meet. And, you know, so we agreed to meet, and we, Scott and his wife Kathy and I sat down at his table, and we just kind of laid it out for him. And after we got done talking, he was asking questions. He's like, can we just start a small group or something like that or whatever? Can we just get together? And I said, yeah, we can do that. And they invited Lisa and Brandon Lice.
Because they were friends with them.
They were friends, yeah.
Okay.
And I knew both of them, but not as well as they did. And so we just got together, and then Chad Bauer, his son had just, that was later on, but he came into the group a little bit later on, and through his loss of his son, so we've all just become a group, and we've been together for 4.5 years, and it just consistently meet. I can't even believe we looked up and we're like, has it been really 4 years that we've been meeting? And it's been that long, and there's been a lot of things that have happened, which is incredible, that we've come together and we're kind of doing life together, because there's just so many things that have happened in each one of our lives, people dying and such as that cancer, a couple cancers, 4 or 5 deaths in our group, and we've just kind of come together, and that's kind of helped. And it's not a traditional small group where we're like, hey, read this Bible scripture and let's talk about it. It's more of let's meet every other week and let's see what God has done in our life in those 2 weeks. And we just like, where do you see God working in your life this week or the last 2 weeks or whatever like that? And there's usually never a dull time where something that God has not showed up in somebody's life, that there's somebody talking about it.
Yeah. So something interesting. So what brings the group together is tragedy, right? And questioning. So what happened inside of the group to bring peace to some of those things? Was it just relationships? Was it the word? Was it like what helped that process? Because that's a big deal, right? Like you're talking about somebody who lost somebody they love, wondered where it came from. Then you have, people come to the group that tragedy has happened throughout the group. So is the attracting piece, other than Jesus, like what's the attraction that keeps the group together and keeps the group going? Like what is that thing that, because very few groups stay together for that long, even through all of those things.
Man, I think it's the genuinely actually seeing Christ work in somebody's life.
Okay.
I really, if we were just getting together just to be, chums, friends, and hang out, I don't know if I could do it for 4 years. We'd probably all get tired of each other or whatever, but the commonality is what's bringing us together is we just see Christ happening in our lives and we share it with each other.
So can you, over the course of 4 years, like you guys get together and you're saying, hey, I wanted to show you where God's working in my life. Can you pick one thing that you can share to be like, this was profound, whether it was you, whether it was somebody else, of like, this is how God's working. When I say profound, something that you're like, wow, that's cool to see God work in that way.
I can, but you know what?
No, it's okay if you can't share it. That's fine.
I can, but I'll probably get emotional about it.
Well, what's wrong with that?
I don't want to get emotional
Well,
about it.
you don't get a choice. Be obedient to God, and He wants you to share.
I've already had tears, Darrell. It's okay. You're amongst friends. We can get you Kleenexes. There's some over there.
No, I don't know if I can do it.
You can do it.
I think of things that, no, I don't know if I can.
Listen, think of all the people out there that are, they need to hear that God's real, God's alive. He's doing amazing things, because there are those people that are still in that place of going through things, that are still wondering, does God still do amazing things in people's life?
Yeah. Usually I'm not an emotional person, so I don't know why these emotions are building up. Maybe because I just keep them stuffed inside so much, but I don't know if I can. I do think that, I can think of with my mother-in-law, and I've already shared this with you guys before, so, Nick's been a big part of it, putting this together, doing the online services. I don't think I can do this. Sorry. Knowing where my mother-in-law was and knowing how she was able to come to Christ is that me over there?
He's pointing to Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I can't do this.
Yeah. Well, no, again, Darrell, I think the thing that's, I think that's what people, the thing that we all need to recognize. So remember in the beginning when we're talking about nobody wants the glory, nobody wants to leave a legacy. But 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Nick, when did this start? Not this, but online in general.
We started the conversation in 2019.
So in 2019, I go to Nick and say, I want you to do something completely different. Like, I don't want an online viewing experience. I want a church. And we're going to believe that God is going to transform the lives of people through this. And so Nick, behind the scenes, since 2019, has been building platforms, building opportunities. And so you sharing that is just proof that somebody just saying yes that nobody would have known about. Like nobody knows the risk that Nick had to take, the grief that he had to listen to for me, all the things that goes into the behind the scenes. But because he made one decision, this is what I want people to see. He made one decision to say yes without any idea of what was coming in the future. And what you're sharing is because of one yes, somebody's in eternity.
Right.
That's what people need to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, right? This is what we're just asking people for. Not, well, what if this happens or this happens? That's not what we're here. You said it earlier in your testimony, in your story. I'm just trying to be obedient.
Yeah.
Right? And through obedience, God gets opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Just you're grateful for whoever decides to be, if God tells you to do something and you're just obedient, you don't know if how it's going to affect somebody later on.
Yeah.
And I mean, even today, the ripple effect of my mother-in-law passing, knowing that she had accepted Christ through the broadcasts that were online, that's how she came to know Christ. And the ripple effect now, I can even say is, and I had told Nick about that, about her and how it all went down, and I was like, I'm hopeful, I'm grateful, I can't wait for the day that my father-in-law, I feel like he's going to come in here, and baptism Sunday.
Yeah.
He stepped into this church. He hadn't been in here he hasn't come to church his whole life. So he came once, and I'm counting that as a victory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. That's good stuff, Darrell. Thank you for pushing through.
I can't do this.
Okay, so we're at the end. We've already been at it an hour, if you can imagine that. So, Jennifer, you have some questions that you want to go through?
I have a couple, yeah. Let's see here. So we kind of didn't talk about this with your small group a little bit, but there was a couple different religions that all came together. So which is kind of a little unique. Diversity, yeah, because usually, you're a church small group, people go together, you have the same thing. But you have, I think it was four Catholics, a Lutheran, and a Protestant, if I remember right. So you have this.
It sounds like a joke.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like you're getting ready for a punchline.
Yeah.
So an eclectic group of people. So what previous ideas did you have about Catholics or Lutherans that were wrong as far as these friends showed?
I didn't realize, actually, I really didn't realize how much in common we do have with the Catholic Church and their belief, how close it is. I just had the impression that they had a lot of different views on things, but when it comes down to a lot of the main things, such as the ascension of Christ, his death is, and his, what I'm thinking of, there's a word for it, just who Christ is and what he did for us, and so pretty much the same. So I was surprised to know that we're on the same wavelength with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that.
No, that's good. Good.
Yeah. And then, so that was from Karen Bennett. So then Jamie Tackett, if you had endless time in your schedule, what is something you would do regularly? And it's not pickleball. So
Endless time.
endless time. What would you do?
Probably go skiing in Colorado.
Oh,
There you go.
That was a good time there. So
Have you went since we went?
Nope. I'd like to go back. So I mean,
Or you can put together a men's trip. I just talked to our one podcast today. Guys talking about loves to take guys fishing. I said, well, you can put together these trips and get these guys together. And there's probably a lot of guys who would want to go and hang out in Colorado for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Now that it's not the COVID Nazi when we went.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess we're supposed to have a big winter this year. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect. I just rolled my eyes for anybody.
What for?
Well, because if you got animals and you have all this stuff that's outside and you have this big winter, it's not as fun.
Oh.
Big winter if you can go skiing and good for those things, but bad for raising animals, driving trucks, delivering feed, all of that kind of stuff. So, so you can think about that. Men's trip to Colorado.
Yeah.
Darrell Dorsett would be the organizer. So if you see him at church on Sunday and you love to snow ski, he comes to the second service. He sits on stage right, back about 15 rows, 20 rows.
No, maybe like 7 or 8.
Oh, no.
He's right in the middle of the church.
Either way, go up and
I'm on the turf.
find Darrell and ask him, say, you know what, how good would it be to do a ski trip? Can you put it together?
Well,
There you go.
I'd love it. I need somebody to go to the summit because you didn't want to.
Listen,
Chicken.
Huh?
Chicken, buck, buck,
I
buck.
don't know if that was exactly how it worked. I was so mad. That was the trip where we couldn't get in anywhere, right?
What? Get in anywhere.
Right, like it was during COVID, right? And you couldn't get in to warm up. And you couldn't,
yeah. I didn't worry about getting into anywhere.
Okay, well, you're tougher than me. We've already established that part of it. You did the Spartan race. You did all the training. I'm the fatty guy that doesn't have the, No, but it was a great trip. I've still told people about this. The greatest part about the trip was all the talking.
Wow.
Yeah, skiing was good. Talking was better.
It was.
Yeah. Okay, any parting wisdom for our audience?
The only thing I would say is be obedient.
There you go.
That's about as good as I can get.
Yeah, good. Want to end us up?
I can. So if you want to be a part of the RoundTable conversation, it's been a long day. So sorry. Take 2. If you want to be a part of the Roundtable conversation and you're not part of our texting group, text podcast to 260-408-8383. And we'll text out who our guest is going to be for the week. There'll be questions you can ask and so forth. So we'd love to have you be a part of that.
Yeah, good. So when the clip comes out, make sure that you like, comment, share. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast. We want to get this out to as many people as possible. And again, in all seriousness, if you see Darrell, his family, Darrell and Heather and his family, they're all together most Sundays. Come up and say hi. Again, I would say from the bottom of my heart, and all joking aside, I appreciate your investment in my kids. I appreciate your investment in this church. And again, I just love to see a guy who's sold out and obedient to the things that God's asked him to do. So great job.
Thanks.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.